Well, hello, this is the Big Bear StarCraft 2, and I am bringing you guys a TVT. Now, you guys might be wondering, how in the heck does his voice sound so much better? And I will tell you guys, I found a brand new microphone inside of my attic that no one has used in a very, very long time. It is called a Dynamic SM57. If you sounded like a little bit strong there, it was because I was actually reading it off of the side of the microphone. Now, I've done a little bit of mic testing, and it sounds a lot better than my old mic, where my old mic would kind of randomly cut in and out. This one is a lot clearer, and apparently the person who did in fact use it before, he kind of used it to sing because he was like a small-time singer, but he never really made it, so we kind of just let it sit in his attic, and I said, hey man, let me use this mic for good and instead of evil. And he said, you know what? I was never using it for evil in the first place because I was serenading people in small-time bars, but sure, you can use it anyways. And now zeRo the hero, who is in fact, you know, kind of that guy who is saying, I'm zeRo the hero, don't worry, I will not be, queero, but I actually did not want to rhyme that at all because that was going to be bad. Maybe there was going to be a small percentage of you guys that do in fact leave me because of that, but you know what, that is how it goes. Now they're both opening up with the very common racks first at 11 or 12, and then they're going to probably opt to either throw down a second barracks or get that refinery. It looks like we have Bestyqt here, who is in fact a QT. Haha, get it? Yes, I get it. And he will be opening up with the refinery first, as well as is zeRo. So this is kind of the opening that most Terrans do, and it is the standard opening. And after this is where it generally diversifies itself into, sometimes they'll go for massive Marines with a reactor or tech lab add-on, or they'll be going for those fast Reapers, or they'll go for fast siege tanks, fast Hellions. I mean, this is kind of where the Terran player can kind of decide where he wants to go with what he wants to do and just kind of decide from there. And that's what I think I love about the mirror matchup of TVT so much, is that there's really nothing that is kind of steadfast, like, oh, you know, if the guy goes 10 pull, then I have to do this. There are just very many, there's a lot of reactions and a lot of build options that you can in fact do. Like you can see here, zeRo is going to be going for 2 Marines, and it looks like right off of the bat, Bestyqt is going for a very, very fast tech lab, and so we're going to be seeing diverse builds already. And I think zeRo is going to be throwing on a fast factory. Now he'll either be going for a reactor on this barracks here, or he will go for just more Marines and use the Marines as defense. Now you can see he has 1 Marine out, and the other Marine was somewhere. Now these 2 Marines here at the bottom of the ramp will in fact deny scouting, so QT will not be able to see that there is in fact a factory on the way. But QT is going for a Reaper, and Reapers can out-micro Marines if they are in fact microed correctly, because Reapers are much faster than Marines are. So you can see that QT is actually opting for a very delayed factory. So zeRo's is almost going to be done while QT's is just now starting. Now the reason why that is good for zeRo is that he will have out faster Hellions, and if he does opt for Hellions here, he is actually not. He's opting for siege tanks, but if he had gotten a Hellion out, it would have been done just around when this Reaper would have pushed in, and that usually counters a Reaper pretty quickly because a Reaper is considered a light unit, and so Hellions do 35 damage to the Reapers, and they kill them in 2 shots, so a Hellion would have completely shut this down. Now, the Reaper here will be scouted by zeRo, but now zeRo has to be a little bit more weary. You can see he's leaving his Marines at the back of the base, and now QT is actually just using the Reaper for Xel'Naga Watchtower control, and that's going to kind of force zeRo into sort of a scared little, you know, contain here, because he's going to be a little bit worried that if there are a lot of Reapers on the way, he will have trouble dealing with them. But you can see he actually is responding in the correct way, going for Prefernal Igniter with Hellions, and Hellions do 14 damage versus light, so not quite 30, which is what I thought they did. Which would be a little bit ridiculous, but I think that's how much they do with the Blue Flame or something like that. I know that it gets ridiculously high once that Blue Flame Hellion upgrade does in fact finish. So it takes 3 shots to kill a Reaper, and that is pretty fast considering that Reapers only do 4 damage, 9 damage, because I think a Hellion is considered light. Yes, only 9 damage, so it takes 10 shots from a Reaper and only, what, like only 4 shots from a Hellion. So the Hellions can actually kill Reapers, but this Reaper number is getting pretty high, and so I like QT's options here, going for 3 or 4 Reapers and then switching into a Hellion build, and that's going to kind of counter any sort of siege tank first play, except there would be siege tanks on the way. Now these Reapers are going to hop up, kill that first Marine. The Marine is going to die. That Hellion is going to go down as well, but these Reapers here will in fact be deterred, so they're going to be pushed back to the Xel'Naga Tower, living to jetpack up and down ramps another day. And now you can see that QT here is going to be actually opting for a tech lab on his starport, but he's still going for just barracks. I thought he was going to be transitioning into some sort of Hellion play and go for the IE Coic build. You can see that QT also already has his command center done, whereas zeRo has absolutely no thought process of actually transitioning into some sort of expansion at all. You can see he is just now starting his expansion, so he's going to be incredibly behind in the expansion timings. Here you can see 28 drones for zeRo and 26 for Bestyqt. So zeRo is actually still a little bit ahead of Bestyqt, and that is just because QT has not actually opted to pull this expansion outside of his base and put it at the natural expansion. So that is just kind of a little bit of QT saying, I'm a little bit too scared to push out right now. And you can see that after that blue flame is in fact done, they do 24 damage. So I was pretty close in that random guess. I've never actually seen how much a Hellion does do, in fact, in damage. So now that he is going to have a lot of Hellions, I'm guessing he's going to be transitioning into the Banshee play. And now you can see he actually is going for the IE Coic build, which is what I was saying. And the counter to that, I guess, is Blue Flame Hellions as well, with Vikings to snipe away at the Banshees. He's even getting a Raven. So he does have a read on zeRo's build. I think he's either played with zeRo before and seen the same exact build, or he just kind of scouted it, or he's just getting lucky. Who really knows? I mean, it's hard to tell with these players because they do play so many games, so it's hard to tell what's just luck and what is, oh, I've played this game so many times and I've seen this happen with this player so many times, so I can just do this. And that's the easiest way to react. Now you can see that there are two Hellions swinging in the back here, and they will actually get one SCV kill, and that looks like it'll be about it. These Hellions will shut it down pretty quickly. So there are blue flamed Hellions for both players out on the field, and now this Banshee here will just kind of be picking away at the Marines. He probably should be focusing down the Marine at the Zelnog Watchtower here to deny any sort of map control, make Bestyqt a little bit worried. But you can see that zeRo's expansion hasn't even really begun to kick in now, so he really needs to start doing the damage. You can go to the workers killed tab here, and you can see that he has already killed 8 workers, however, so that Hellion harass was extremely effective. So that was in fact a more effective Hellion harass than I in fact thought. Maybe I missed it, but I'm not sure. Now you can see he's going to be a little bit antsy here. He's going to try to skirt his Banshee out of here, and I think he will be able to, because Vikings are in fact slower, 2.57 and 2.57, so they're the same speed. So once the Banshee outranges it, he can in fact get away. Now there's going to actually go down. So that is very good micro by QT, saying, I realize that units are in fact the same speed. I am still going to run them down anyways. Now you can see that he's going to be transitioning into a siege tank, Hellion, Marine, Viking, Raven composition, which is basically just kind of saying, I will be all of the units on the field, no big. Whereas zeRo is transitioning into mainly a Marine tank army with a couple of Banshees inside of it, and that's generally what you see most Terran players go for nowadays. I think that the Marine Marauder composition is mostly dead just because it is so hard to use that effectively, but now is the time that QT has decided is the time to in fact move out, and so he's going to be facing zeRo's meager amount of units here. Now these siege tanks don't even have their siege tech up. You can see it is on the way, but it is still a whopping 20 seconds away. So if QT here actually decides to push out pretty soon, he will be able to do a lot of damage. The Raven actually did scan the Banshee, because Ravens do have cloak, for those of you who do not know, and so the 2 Vikings did in fact kill that Banshee. And so now zeRo is going to be crapping his pants just a little bit, because he sees all of these units and he just has this many units here. So you can see he's pulling a lot of his SCVs off of the line there. Siege tank actually is going to go up, it's going to pelt away at the Hellions, but the Hellions are just going to simply be deterred. Now the Vikings are going to pull up here, actually take out the medevac here is what I am guessing, because the siege tanks will push this back. Now this siege tank here will in fact go down, and there's really not much that zeRo can do. He did lose just because that harass either did not do that much damage, or he just, he just went with the wrong build, and QT's build hard countered his build, and I think that's what it was. And if you have a hard counter, it doesn't matter how good you are, generally it is extremely hard to win that game. But you can see that zeRo does have a lot of Marines out, so if he can catch the siege tanks out of position, he will be able to turn this in, because he actually does decide to push in here. There are Hellions and Marines taking damage from the siege tanks in the back line. Now they're going to be a lot of the Marines here actually taking a lot of damage. SCVs are going to be pulled off the line, auto turrets are going to be thrown down, and now all of the SCVs are going to be trying to push off here. There's going to be massive amounts of damage, and there's the GG by zeRo. That was terrible damage. The cheat code, apparently Bestyqt does in fact enable God mode on his free time when he does like to play against zeRo, the frickin' hero. Now this is Big Bear StarCraft 2, hoping you guys enjoy my new mic. It's not really new, because I guess technically someone has used it before, but it is most certainly new to you guys and new to me. Now add me on my StarCraft 2 account. I am from the North America server, and my character name is Big Bear. My character code is 743, and this is Big Bear StarCraft 2 signing out.